Check, check, check. It's working? Okay. Good morning, everyone. We'll be starting the session in about 1 or 2 minutes. We'll just let some more audience members come in. Thank you very much. We'll be starting in about 1 or 2 minutes. Hire me for my pronunciation capabilities. Oh, famida apa? Ah. All right. Good morning, everyone. We'll let the bell go. I won't compete with it. Everyone, I'm really excited about the participation in this session. Look, this is great. So thank you very much, everyone. My name is Julie Gosla, and I work with the International Food Policy Research Institute. It's my pleasure to welcome you to Thematic Session 5B, Addressing Nutrition Challenges in Vulnerable Populations. And I'm delighted to introduce our session chairs for today. Ms. Minnie Varghese is the Country Director, India for Nutrition International. With more than 25 years of experience in public health and knowledge on issues affecting underserved populations, Minnie has invaluable contributions to the India program over the past few decades. She has advised the government of India on a range of key public health issues and was involved in the development of national guidelines for the Anemia-Free India program, in addition to being an active member of the Vitamin A Technical Working Group. She has also helped develop the first national profile on women, health, and development for the World Health Organization's Southeast Asia Regional Office. Additionally, Minnie has also contributed to the Indian adaptation of the book, Where Women Have No Doctor. It's also my pleasure to invite and introduce our second session chair, Dr. Renuka Jayatisa. She's the Vice Chancellor of the International Institute of Health Sciences and the former head of the Department of Nutrition, Medical Research Institute, Sri Lanka. She obtained her nutrition training in the UK and has worked as a nutrition specialist for the Ministry of Health and UNICEF. She is the current president of Sri Lanka Medical Nutrition Association, regional coordinator of Iodine Global Network, and past president of the Nutrition Society. She pioneered in establishing the MD Clinical Nutrition degree in Sri Lanka. Her research interests are child and adult malnutrition, micronutrients, food security, and clinical nutrition. She has published widely and is an editor and reviewer for numerous journals. Please join me in welcoming our session chairs for today.
Good morning, everybody, and it's a pleasure. I can see on the third day to have a full room, which shows the commitment that we have on this topic to discuss today. And we are today addressing a very important component of our programs, and the last 2 days which we have been, and also related and very closely linked to the whole thematic area of addressing nutrition challenges for the vulnerable population. I don't think that this audience required why we need to be looking at vulnerabilities when we are thinking about policies, programs, implementation, because it is so crucial that when we are looking at data, we know that there are the progress can only be achieved when we have been looking into this specific group of vulnerabilities. So when we look at vulnerabilities, there are vulnerability can be due to several things. So vulnerability is determined by the historical, political, cultural and institutional and natural resources which has been there. That shapes people's lives, lifestyles, and that maybe produce a range of vulnerabilities and challenges that it throws for programmers and people like us to understand and consider when we are thinking and planning things for them. Vulnerability is important for determining health and nutrition outcome for the community and the people that we serve. Without addressing the vulnerability, you cannot achieve the equity part of it, which we have been hearing in the last 2 days about it. One of the major component of our inequity is because of the vulnerabilities that exist. And each population, when we are covering it, it is important to understand the vulnerabilities are also specific and context specific, so that we cannot have a single solution for all kinds of vulnerabilities. So it needs to be context specific, people centered, and the solution has to emerge from them. So connecting the vulnerability dot is important with for us, and Dr. Renuka and I are happy to chair this session. With these words, I would like to invite the first speaker of today. The first speaker for today is Famida Akhtar. She's the assistant scientist at Bach University. And you have 8 minutes time, and at 2 minutes left, then we will be show you the card, and we request you to stick to the time. Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone. I am Famida, as said, from Bach University. I would like to express my gratitude to the chairs of this session and also the organizer to give me the opportunity to talk about double burden of malnutrition and its determinants among adolescents in Bangladesh. So I also acknowledge the contribution of the co-authors of these papers. So like many other countries, Bangladesh also experiencing double burden of malnutrition among all age groups, including adolescent. Adolescence is a particular specific period which actually bridges between past and future, and it's an opportunity to correct the childhood malnutrition and also to build the healthy foundation for adulthood. However, there is a lack of nationally representative data on nutritional status among adolescents and even particularly among boys. So here we aim to assess or estimate the prevalence of double burden of malnutrition among adolescents and the determinants or factor associated with the malnutrition among boys and girls separately. So this is a longitudinal study, and we use the second wave of this study, which was conducted in 2023. And it's a nationally and divisionally representative study, and we collected data from 90 sentinel sites, 64 from rural area, non-slum urban 16, and from slum 10. And we followed multi-stage cluster sampling for separately for rural area and non-slum urban area and slum areas. For this study, we interviewed 5,600 boys and 5,640 girls during February to October in last year, 2023. So the outcome variable is double burden of malnutrition, which is underweight, and also the overweight or obesity coexistence. And we measured this and categorized this using sex and age specific WHO growth chart in Anthro+ software, and we categorized as like underweight, normal, or overweight obese adolescents. We analyzed data to estimate the weighted prevalence of double burden of malnutrition, and we performed the multinomial logistic regression to identify the factors separately for boys and girls associated with malnutrition. So in result, you can see like nationally, boys are more undernourished compared to girls. And in contrary, the overweight and obesity are more prevalent among girls, so which is like 8% to 10%. And you can see that this pattern is like consistent for all areas, rural, non-slum, urban, and slum areas. And in addition to that, you can see in non-slum urban area, the prevalence of overweight and obesity is highest among both boys and also girls. So if we see in this table, this is the regression table for girls and boys and for both underweight and overweight obesity. So we included individual level parameters, parental level and household level, and also behavioral factors as explanatory variable to determine the factors associated with double burden of malnutrition among boys and girls. So among individual variable, it's like age, occupation, and marital status of the adolescents. And for parental, it's just education. And for household, like religion, household size, food security status, and also area of residence and wealth index, and some other behavioral variables. So I will summarize this in the next slide. So you can see that for boys, household food insecurity, larger household size, and being depressed is the factor that increased the relative risk of being underweight, and being older boys compared to 10 to 14 years, it's 15 to 19 years, and paternal higher education and being residing in non-slum urban area, and consumption of sugar sweetened beverage actually reduce the relative risk of being underweight. And for girls, the factor that increase the relative risk of underweight are like household food insecurity and being single, and the factors that reduce the relative risk are being older age girl, and maternal higher education, higher wealth, and also higher television time. So this is for underweight. And for overweight and obesity, you can see like the factors that actually associated with decreased or increased relative risk are pretty common among boys and girls. For example, paternal higher education, residing in non-slum urban area and slum area, and more sedentary time are common that increased the relative risk among boys and girls. And consumption of less fruits and vegetables, being depressed, reduces the relative risk of being overweight or obese among both boys and girls. And only for boys, the maternal higher education and being older is associated with being increased or decreased chances of relative risk of overweight or obesity. So this is the factors that associated with double burden of malnutrition. And now if we see that what are the implications of these findings, what we need to do further. So from the result, we can see that boys are more malnourished than girls, and also overweight and obesity are higher among girls. which actually call for initiative to include adolescent boy in nationwide nutrition interventions, and also prioritize the control and prevention of obesity and overweight among nationwide. And the second thing is like these variable age, marital status, education, and larger households, these are like non-modifiable for this context, and we can consider these variables when targeting adolescent girls or boys for any nutrition intervention. And for residing in non-slum urban area and slum area is more adolescent boys and girls from this area are suffered in obesity or overweight. That's why this area should be prioritized while conducting any study or any intervention to prevent overweight or obesity. And we need nutrition sensitive social safety net and income generating interventions to improve the household economic resilience, so that people can manage their nutritional status within household. And finally, these behavioral factors actually call for strengthening and continuation of norm responsive SBCs, social and behavioral change communication initiatives for better dietary practices, and also we need to ensure the enabling environment to convert or translate the desired behavior to practice. And finally we need to integrate the maternal health services in primary health care, as this is more prevalent among boys and girls too. This is all from my end. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Hami, Doctor. That is a wonderful presentation. Our second presenter is Pragya Tapalia. He is a program manager, Mercy Corps. Over to you, Pragya.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Pragya Tapalia, representing Mercy Corps Nepal in this platform, distinguished chairs, and participants and guests. It's my pleasure to be presenting on our program Enhancing Nutrition through Homegrown School Meals program, and we'll be talking about policy, governance, and capacity building in rural Nepal. So imagine, breakfast was not served this morning. You're all sitting here hungry. As the time progresses, you realize that lunch will not be served again. The saffron ginger room, the lotus ballroom will start emptying, and the few remaining guests will start getting hungry. The concentration span will start decreasing, and by the end of the day, I think both of these rooms will be completely empty. This is not just an imagination, but a harsh reality in a lot of school-going children in not just Nepal, but across South Asia. We've heard from, I think a lot of us attended the first keynote speaker, P. Sainath sir, and also this morning, Soumya ma'am, and they kept on mentioning about school meal interventions, midday meal programs, and I'll be focusing on just that. In the context of Nepal, school meal intervention or midday meal program is one of the largest social safety net investments made by the government of Nepal, particularly Ministry of Education, Science and Technology. As we all know, it contributes to the nutrition, education, as well as other learning outcomes of school-going children. And in the context of Nepal, there's universal coverage. By that, I mean that it is up to primary level, grade 5, and it is prevalent across all the districts till across all community schools, that is government-operated schools. And in Nepal, in the context of Nepal, 77 districts, out of the 77 districts, 74 are being operated by the government of Nepal, whereas the program that I'm working for, US Department of Agriculture funded Food for Education and Child Nutrition program, takes care of the other 3 districts in this particular cycle. In my presentation, I'll be focusing on the past cycle where we intervened on 6 districts. So we'll be talking about my program, particularly homegrown school feeding intervention and what it means. So when we talk about homegrown school feeding program, it is often mistaken and referred to as homestead production sometimes, home gardening, sometimes also school kitchen gardens, but it's not that. When we talk about homegrown school feeding interventions, we mean that the food that is supplied at the school feeding level is grown at home. By home, we mean local community, local region, or within the territory of the country. So in this context, Nepal. So we'll be talking about it. Since 2015, we had new constitution, and the constitution promulgation, we have moved into the context of federalism. So now we have the federal government, provincial government, and local government. So now the local governments, they do have the autonomy to develop their own unique policies, programs, and they also have their own budgets. So in this new context, how we are working in this particular program, I'm going to be focusing on just that. So in this intervention, it's USDA funded, as I mentioned, and the consortium is managed by World Food Program. Mercy Corps Nepal is looking after this particular component, homegrown school feeding program, where we work on two different interventions. One is local and regional food procurement that is grown locally. We also heard P. Sainath sir talking about how the Adivasi communities in India were fed, the school-going children were fed wheat and rice when they were more accustomed to eating bajras and millets. And so we're doing just that. We're linking the local homegrown production, the indigenous production, to the school level. The other one is we're working with the local governments. We're working with 56 local governments to work with 1,590 schools. We supply over 270,000 students on a daily basis warm food, warm meals, and we work directly with 31,000 farmers and 106 cooperatives. So the rationale, I am not going to delve too much into it. As we talked about, it contributes to their nutrition outcomes, education outcomes, learning outcomes. It leads to a decline in absenteeism, increases retention rates, improves concentration abilities. We have seen the learning outcomes improve school performances. And also it talks about, we delve into bridging inequalities, bridging communities. The theme itself represents, when we talk about connecting dots, this theme addressing vulnerabilities. Like Robert Chamber mentioned, there's a vulnerability trap, and when we do not invest on the younger generation, the adult, the younger population, it doesn't, this vulnerability trap keeps on continuing, and the program works on targeting just that. And it's not just like the investment now generates results 10 years down the line, but also since we're working with the farmers, there's a household level transformation. The farmers are directly making money on a live basis by linking their production to the school, where the school is the market itself. And it's a year-long market, meaning that the food doesn't go to waste. So talking about the method of implementation, we work directly with the farmers. So it's all about connecting dots here as well. So we work with the farmers. We work to develop their group formation. We work with them on training them on climate smart agriculture initiatives, IPM methods. We link them with the agriculture cooperatives. We help with the agriculture cooperatives in Nepal to develop the supply chain, and we link them to the schools as well. And at the center of it all is the local government, where we have placed a staff in each local government unit, 56 staff each in one government unit, where they assist through this modality, where the government can develop their own standard operating procedures, and it's unique to them. Every government can develop their own menu throughout the week, and there's unique local indigenous food production in each local government level. So what are the results? Over 250,000 students are being fed warm day on a regular basis. 1,066 farmers have been supplying vegetables and lentils through this modality. Over 838 metric tons of vegetables were imported in the last year alone. By imported, I mean circulated in the local economy. Over 970,000 worths of vegetable and lentils, US dollars, are procured locally under the program. 106 cooperatives have undergone capacity enhancement, and 56 local governments have now their own tailor-made policies to implement the school meal program. As a result, according to the independent evaluation carried out by this organization called NERMA for our program, we've seen reduced absenteeism, dropouts, increased attention span of students, increased retention rates, and also the learning loss that happened due to the COVID that we very frequently talk about, because the students have started going to schools, and one of the main attributing factors is the meal program. Whenever there is a break in the supply chain, and if the school meal doesn't get cooked, then the students don't come to school. So after COVID, one of the great things that has happened through this program is that the students are coming. This program is attracting students to school. So implications or challenges. So some of the challenges are that it's been 3 years since this program has been undergoing, and there has been phase out through this model. So we have worked in 2 districts, and now in the remaining 3 districts we're working. So there's the transformation of knowledge, attitude, and practices. It takes continuous intervention. So for for this significant engagement and long period of intervention, I think it would have been more effective. When we talk about leadership, we work with the local government, we work with elected leaders and also bureaucrats, and after some time, maybe there'll be another election, and the set of people that we worked with, the government leaders, elected representatives, they're going to change all over again. So sometimes the commitment, the path that we paved, the action needs to be taken again. And the other one is schools' interest and capacity. Like Dr. P. Sainath was talking, P. Sainath sir was talking about. In Nepal also there's politicization, there's also privatization, vested interest by the third private parties where they try to bring in their ready-made like food mixes in Nepal's school meal program. So sometimes schools also have some interest because of the budget. The budget that is very limited, it's Nepali 15 rupees per student per meal. And sometimes the local governments do add in extra amounts, and there's other third parties, INGOs or NGOs that are contributing to it, but the meal amount, that budget is very limited. And also there's challenges because of the arid landscape, the topography, and the production is also a challenge in this context. However, this is not just a challenge, but we've also looked into these factors, and in the next cycle, we have designed activities accordingly. So yeah, these are the implications and recommendations. There's potential of replicability and scalability, not just in Nepal, all over Nepal, but in South Asian countries as well. We can talk more about it after this session. I'm available throughout the session. So thank you, everyone. My time's off for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Pragya, for bringing out how social safety net program can be more nutritious, which is locally available items, so thank you for that. Our third presenter is Afsana Habib from Helen Keller International, Bangladesh. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to present here in D4N, Connecting the Dots. I am Dr. Afsana Habib Shuli. I'm working at Helen Keller International, Bangladesh. I am very pleased to share one of our very successful projects about the vulnerable group of Bangladesh, that is adolescent girls. My presenting topic is empowering adolescent girls through food security and economic empowerment, evidence from Bangladesh. So what's our rationale to take this project? Adolescent girls in Bangladesh continue to experience high rates of malnutrition and early marriage. Poverty, food insecurity, and limited economic opportunities are linked to these challenges. So this implementation research project addresses these issues through gender transformative intervention, focusing on enhanced homestead food production and income generation in Khulna division of Bangladesh. So we did this implementation project through clusters, randomized control trial. There was 84 clusters, 42 were control clusters, 42 were control clusters, to whom we have given adolescent health and nutrition education, HNE, and 42 were treatment clusters. This cluster group also got adolescent health and nutrition education, which is layered with enhanced homestead food production. 1353 adolescent girls aged 13 to 16 years were enrolled in this project at the Devhata sub-districts of Bangladesh. The treatment group, they got intervention group received in addition, coupled with homestead gardening support, seeds, training on vegetables and poultry rearing, and conditional cash transfer for additional inputs. So what's our primary research questions? Our primary research question was whether a gender transformative enhanced homestead food production model can improve household food security, diet, nutrition, income, and sexual and reproductive health outcomes to delay child marriage among Bangladeshi girls. And our specific objectives were: test the effect of an integrated gender transformative enhanced homestead food production model on household food security, assess the impact of household and community level interventions on adolescent dietary, nutritional status, and prevalence of anemia, and identify threshold of income generation that through EHFP that can influence family decision to delay early childhood marriage. We have many variables and many indicators. For this presentation, we pick only the empowering adolescence data. So our baseline we have done in the February-March 2020 with 1353 households who have 1 adolescent girls, and anthropometry was done for all the adolescent girls. And unfortunately, the COVID started after the baseline study. So our 2 years intervention took almost 3 years to complete. So through our interventions, what we have done, among the 84 clusters, there was 84 peer leaders. We have done health education on nutrition and sexual and reproductive health, session on life skill development, session with fathers, hands-on training on EHFP with mother and the adolescent girls. Our impact on the household level, we have found that EHFP delivered through adolescent girls was successful in encouraging productions of vegetables and poultry among treatment group. By doing difference in difference analysis, we observed impact for these indicators of 12.9% points and 10.6% points respectively. Moreover, there was an impact on the likelihood of households selling vegetables for additional income. And at household level, we also found that the impact on income earned from sales of vegetables and poultry products are BDT 284 and BDT 143 respectively over last 3 months preceding the endline survey. When the impact on total income is measured, we do not find a significant effect, largely due to small magnitudes of the effects. However, this is significant effect on total household food consumption. And what was the impact on the adolescent girls? 6% point, 17% increase in girls being involved in any kind of income generating activities. A small positive impact on the cash savings, positive estimate of impact on dietary score and minimum dietary diversity for women, but not statistically significant. No impact on overall enrollment rates, no impact on being married or age of marriage. It seems that there is no impact on adolescent girls. But what we found? However, we have found that percentage of the married girls who were pregnant at the end line, the girls who are 15 plus years old, only 9.6% become pregnant in the treatment group compared to the 22.3% in the control group. But the girls who are less than 15 years old, the percentage is almost similar. So they have, the girls who are more than 15 years, they have got the decision to delay their first pregnancy. And percentage of married girls who were in the school at the end line, this is very interesting that we found 28.2% less than 15 years adolescent girls and 28.7% 15 plus years adolescent girls in the treatment group. Both have more adherence to the school than the control group. So the girls who went through this implementation research, who got the sessions on health education, sexual and reproductive health, and life skill development, at least even after marriage, they were kept in the school more compared to the control group. So from this implementation research, we have come to the point for implication point of view that it demonstrates that EHFP targeted at adolescent girls may have the potential to significantly long-term effects on education when combined with other adolescent health and nutrition training by delaying the age at first pregnancy and keeping girls in school longer. EHFP can improve maternal and child health. Though our project was very much interrupted with the COVID, and this time actually early childhood marriage rate has increased a lot in Bangladesh. So we struggled a lot to engage our adolescent girls in these projects. You can see that I want to emphasize on one slide. That we have started with 1353 adolescent girls, but the end line we got 1,004 because their attrition rate was more because of the COVID, but household levels, the attrition rate was only 3.25%, so we got the information from the household level. And this is only 2 years intervention. So we hope that if we can work with the adolescent girl, with more time, we can have more impact on their delayed childhood marriage. Thank you, everyone.
I think thank you, Apsana. It is very interesting study. And our fourth speaker is Alpha Gaddavi, Deputy Manager, Health and Nutrition from Aga Khan Rural Support Program. Over to you, Alpha.
I guess there's so much connecting the dots, so we have connected my name with my partner's photo. So I'm today here, I'm going to represent the food diversity piloting, which we are currently doing with Dang's forest in Gujarat. So it is most, as we all have already talked about India's millet journey, which is, India recently have celebrated the millet year in 2023, and it was a boom for everyone because it really increased the export of millets of India. So I won't go much deeper into that, but let me give you a glimpse of what we are doing with Dangs. So Dangs is a forest area of Gujarat state of India, which consists 96%, more than 96% of population of tribal, mostly Korku, Bhil, and other tribals like Kotwalia, which we consider even Dalits, Mahadalits. So we are working with them, and most of the tribals are associated with the handicrafts of bamboo and some form of marginalized labor, agricultural labor, and agricultural activity. And they are facing huge migration during the summer times, and it also leads to a question that what about the nutritional status of these tribals when they are migrating constantly from one place to another place, especially when this area is, totally dry during the summer span. It's so dry and it's so many people migrate during this time so that you can see the other side of the village, it's totally empty. So, these tribals have a huge history, a rich history of cultivating millets like sorghum, barnyard millets, foxtail millets, proso millets, and many more, along with the mushrooms, fishes, and other wild varieties of food. But with time, with increased migration, with increased westernization of the food plate, this consumption of this entire millet came drastically down. And it's so down now so that it also brought the other factors, the other food items also down. So right now if you ask them, they will reply you that we just consume only and only tur dal and white rice, nothing else. No fish, no vegetables, no fruits, nothing else, with very high intense physical labor, which makes them even more prone to malnutrition. So, as we have talked yesterday, that not all models are wrong, but some are useful. That's we are currently trying to develop a pilot. We are working on this pilot where we are trying to connect all the dots from millet cultivation to millet consumption and social and behavior change communication. So our AKRSPs already established interventions usually work on the millet production, natural farming, And even at certain extent, we have started working on the carbon credit markets as well. So we are just trying to leverage this previous experience by connecting the dots between all these and nutrition. So that's why we have started working on this millet consumption as well, because only cultivation is not important. Because these tribals, although they cultivate the highest amount of millets, not only in Gujarat but maybe in India, but still they don't eat it because of the constant change in the food varieties, what they see from others when they migrate, and because of the constant in touch with the other people out of Dangs. So even the children, they get the midday meal, which contains only and only rice and paddy, and wheat and corn. So they don't get used to with this millet, which they used to have. They have this previous history, right? But they don't consume it that much. And when they come back to home from the ashram shalas, they have to have this ashram shalas because their parents migrate. So during that span, how will they study? So they have this ashram shalas where they get shelter during those migration period and they can continue their education. So they are getting the same food in ashram shalas as well. So they demand only white rice when they go back to home. And this is also changing the perspective about the millets. It is considered as orphan crop, and sometimes consuming wheat and paddy is considered as status symbol because that's what they see when they migrate on others' plates. So these are some of the vegetables and crops and millets they are growing. So our intervention methodology currently lies in 3 stages: cultivation, consumption, and communication and consumption. So we are trying to integrate all these 3 parts. What we have figured out that we have a strong network of SHGs, self-help groups, and we have very strong network of women federations. So we are training the community leaders only. We are not intervening by ourselves. We are training these community leaders to talk about this changes, to talk about the benefits of millets. And we are also integrating millets with kitchen gardens, with grain banks, and with seed banks. Because sometimes people want to grow it, but they don't know from where to get particular types of seeds and how to get the grains during the drought-prone times. It is very evident that they don't have anything to eat at their home. So we also attach these things with the seed banks and grain banks. So we train these leaders to go to the community and communicate about how they can eat millets in different ways, how they can utilize their kitchen gardens for diversifying their millet recipes. Because sometimes it also happens that you are so much exposed to the westernized food, so-called westernized food, or the totally junk food plate, so that children are not that much used to have the millets in their plate. So we are not saying that we are doing something different. We are just reviving what they used to eat. So we are just getting things back to their plates by diversifying the food plate. So we also have some farmers who don't grow millets in their farms, but we are just reviving the older practice that you need to grow only one span of your farm, which can be used for your consumption. Because sometimes when you grow it in your own farm, it is very likely that you will consume it. So why don't you grow just one part of your farm so that it doesn't impact your nutrition and your income part as well. So this is the basic strategy. By now we have also these findings that because of this entire wheat consumption and rice consumption, as millets consumption has decreased drastically, but still there are people who knew the older recipes who are very much likely to help us to develop the diversified food plate for the tribals. So we are taking the community chefs to the stage and we take help from them that what are the most important factors we need to take care of. And they are the ones who are guiding us for our entire intervention. We are also not only employing SBCC approach because we have seen that government is doing it, other private factors are doing it, but it is failing continuously when you are not attaching this main strategy to the human-centered design. So it's very important that you need to attach your SBCC approach to the human-centered design. We are currently doing this with 50 villages of Dangs with more than 1,000 farmers. Although we have not come yet with very evident results, but what we are finding in our pilot is that it is actually giving us some results which we truly want. The servings in the plates are getting increased. The children are also liking the food which they used to not like because of, I want pizza, I want burger. Why would I shift to something which you are telling me to do? So because of this interventions, we are getting some results which we actually didn't expect. And I believe that by next year, when we are done with this pilot, we'll have the more data-centric results. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alpha. The next presenter and the last in this series of presentation is Pinaki Das from the Vidyasagar University. Over to you.
Good morning, everyone, respected chairs and my dear participants. It is my great pleasure to present our research on hidden hunger, a longitudinal study of nutritional insecurity among non-poor tribal and non-tribal households in West Bengal, India. Yes, our study examines a critical paradox. Despite higher economic growth and a significant reduction of the poverty, along with increase in the public distribution system, the Indian economy has been experienced a very high rate of nutritional insecurity. In this study, we have used the concept of hidden hunger, that the household having sufficient purchasing power, but due to the incapability of the selection of the appropriate nutrition basket or food basket, they are not able to overcome their nutrition insecurity. By the systematic literature review, we have identified that there is a significant gap in analyzing the relationship between nutrition insecurity and poverty. While the existing studies are valuable to understand the status of poverty, status of food security and nutrition insecurity, but they fail to analyze the persistent nutrition insecurity despite the reduction of the poverty and underscore the needs for further research. Our study focuses a specific region which is called Jangal Mahal region, located in the south-west part of West Bengal state of India, and this region is predominantly backward and exists with a number of vulnerabilities. In this brief backdrop, present study investigates the paradox of nutritional insecurity among non-poor households in comparison with tribal and non-tribal communities, and assesses the role of public distribution system in these issues and evaluate how socio-economic factors influence on hidden hunger despite poverty reduction. Our study uses intertemporal design with a baseline survey in the year 2013-14 and follow-up surveys in 2017-18 and 21-22 survey. We have surveyed 600 households on the basis of multi-stage stratified random sampling. By the repeated survey of the same household, we have generated a robust micropanel data that help us to address our research questions. As regards the methodology, we have used a Foster-Gear and Thurbeck methodology to estimate the status of poverty and status of nutrition insecurity. We have also used propensity score matching method and randomized control trial to assess the relationship between intervention as well as PDS and other form of intervention, as well as to make the comparison across different group of population. We have also used multinomial logic model to analyze the status of nutrition insecurity in relation to poverty. So far, the socioeconomic profile of the household is concerned. There are a number of vulnerabilities which are related with high dependency ratio, relatively low level of education, and employment predominantly with unskilled casual type of employment. It is true that over the study period, the monthly per capita consumption expenditure significantly increased for both tribal as well as non-tribal household. As a result, the poverty headcount ratio significantly decreased during this period. The headcount ratio decreased around 21 percentage point for the tribal household and 14 percentage point for the non-tribal household. But this reduction of the poverty and increase of the monthly per capita consumption expenditure does not translate it into the reduction of the nutrition insecurity. That is why why the percentage share of nutrition insecurity is relatively high for both tribal and non-tribal households. We have analyzed the nutrition insecurity in relation to poverty by classifying the entire household into 4 groups: non-poor, nutritionally secure, non-poor, nutritionally insecure, poor, nutritionally secure, and poor, nutritionally insecure. We have classified entire household across these 4 categories for STs and for non-STs with these 3 specific years that help us to understand the dynamics of the status of nutrition insecurity in relation to poverty. From the empirical evidence, the most striking features is that a significant portion of the household are non-poor but nutritionally insecure. For ST, this share was 24.4% in 2013-14, which increased to 38% in 2017-18. Whereas for non-STs, this share increased to 17.8% to 20.7%. But thereafter, in 21-22, their share has been declined. This is due to the widespread coverage of the public distribution system in India since COVID-19 pandemic, as well as our intervention by the means of local health cares, self-help group members. We are actually connecting these dots for the better implementation of the public distribution system to reduction the nutrition insecurity. It is true that the public distribution system has been played a crucial role for the reduction of the poverty in our country, but its impact on the nutrition benefit is relatively less. That is why the nutrition insecurity remained high, and this is due to the lack of the nutrient diversification in the offerings of the PDS benefits. Here we have used the multinomial logic model to understand the status of the nutrition insecurity in relation to poverty, which is classified into 4 categories, that is multinomial in nature. And here we have used the independent variable which are related with cultural factors, social factors, demographic factors, and economic factors. These results help us to identify the significant determinants of the status of nutrition insecurity in relation to poverty. On the basis of the result of the multinomial logic model, we have observed that the education, food expenditure pattern, PDS benefit, and non-farm income positively and significantly affects the nutritional outcome, though they are insufficient to eliminate the hidden hunger. Deeper systematic issues, cultural food practices, and limited food diversity, and the lack of the effective nutrition awareness program reduce the effectiveness of the food security interventions. On the basis of the findings of our study, we have proposed some policy prescription which are related with promoting the nutritional education and diversifying the PDS benefits towards the nutrients-rich food, and also increase the participation of the indigenous knowledge and local food practices, and also strengthening the coordination between different food and nutrition related programs like PDS, ICDS, health services for the better nutrition outcome, and also designing the policy that targeted these types of regional vulnerabilities. And our policy also related with the engagement of the NGOs, leaders, and other stakeholders for the better outcome. Our study is longitudinal in nature, and it is useful to understand the intricate dynamics of the status of nutrition insecurity in relation to the poverty. The study's nature and the methods as well as approach are also useful for the scaled up in other regions to address similar type of problem, similar type of issues for better policy targeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pinaki Das. I think we had 5 panelists, and we had fantastic presentation from all 5 panelists. I think you are a kind of extremely fantastic audience, and you were silently listening to all these panelists. Now this is your time. So we have 10 minutes of Q&A. And we'll take 3 by 3. I think I will invite all 5 panelists to come here. We are going to step down. No, please come, because you are the most important people at this moment. So come and sit. Come and sit here, and all 5 panelists. And this time for you, and please, we'll first give 3 questions. And then if you want to specifically ask from one special panelist, you can always tell that. Otherwise, I think all 5 of them are kind of responsible to answer the questions. Over to you all, the audience.
This is Shahjahan from Bangladesh, taking care of one of the Feed the Future initiative called Livestock and Nutrition Activity, being implemented by CGIAR book. I have a question, not question, just for knowing to Alpha. You are diversifying plate around millet. So I know millet is better than rice and wheat, but your SBCC work around the millet is diversifying the animal source food consumption or not? Because diverting from the animal source food consumption, because animal source food consumption is essential for all ages people. So you are just for knowing, so what this SBCC work is whether impacting diverting the animal source food consumption or not, if you are thinking about that. And my second, this is also for my learning to Afsana Appa. You're finding this is saying close to 1% adolescent adhere to school. So whether it is statistically significant or not. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Hi everyone, my name is Sedi Bukaka from IFPRI. Thank you to the panelists for the very interesting presentations. My question is for Asana, for the study in Bangladesh with such interesting results. So I was wondering, you talked about those results about marriage, pregnancies, education, but I also saw you had all those anthropometric data. So I was wondering if you can say a little bit more on the results on that. And if you have any idea around why you see no impacts, lack of impact for first pregnancies for the younger girls when you do see a high impacts for the older girls. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Anjali Ganpule from India. I work with Center for Chronic Disease Control, and I have questions for 3 of the presenters, very interesting presentations. The first one is related to the adolescent population and BMI related study which you presented. Have you got any measurement of the pubertal staging? Because that will make a major difference in the BMI of the adolescents that you are measuring, and that might change all of the outcome variables association. So that is a question for you. The second question related to the young population. It's very interesting to see what you've done, but do you have any data on what is the access of outside food that these people have got, which might change the intervention things? And third question related to PDS related study. Can you suggest, because diversifying the PDS is a major task, so can you suggest how we can go about it and what kind of diversification can be brought in when it comes to country level? Thank you.
The question and then a set of otherwise even the respondents get forget about their question. So we'll go ahead with the answer these 3 questions, and then we'll take a first online question, and then we will take the respondents from the room. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so for the first question about animal food, right? Animal-based food or the dairy food, it was about that. So actually, these people with whom we are working, they don't consume dairy that much culturally. They eat meat, they eat fish, but not the milk or any products made by milk. Be it ghee, be it butter, be it curd or milk. They don't consume it. And when it is from the culture, it is quite hard to work on it directly, because the question can directly come that who you are to tell us when we are already following this thing from years, from generations. So we have not gone to that part, although we are also currently working on livestock part with them as well, and we are developing the Pashu Sakhi model. When we are, commercializing the female participation in the livestock. But yes, we have tried fisheries there, and it didn't work out because when you are constantly migrating for looking, when you are not able to taking care of certain things, it doesn't work that much. So yes, we are working on the animal fat and meat part, but not that much because some things are there in the culture like fishes, mushrooms, leafy vegetables. They are already there, and it's easy to promote those things for the diversification. But for the meat part and the other items, they are already consuming. Just the frequency has dropped drastically. It's not like they're not consuming. They are consuming millets as well. The frequency has dropped drastically. So if you will ask them, they will have everything in the house. Even they will give you the answer that, when I need to go to the labor, I will consume sorghum. But if I'm staying at home, I'll consume wheat. So they know that which is more beneficial. It's like the frequency is the main problem. About the second question about outside food, right? So what do you mean by outside food?
You mentioned that they asked for pizza and burger. So I was curious, this is a tribal community in remote area. How much of outside food access do they have?
So actually when they migrate, the children also, okay, let me add one thing. This kids, this adolescent have a culture, they don't have a culture of marriage. They have a culture of leave-in from the age of 12 or 13. So when they migrate, this adolescent also migrates sometimes. They don't actually, not always they study in the ashram shalas. Sometimes they leave the education, they go along with their parents. And during those times when they are migrated to other place, they are exposed to these things like pizza, burgers, and you would be so shocked to know. I was doing one FGD with them, and I asked almost every single participant what is the consumption of packet food. And they said, although we don't have an access, but we travel to the city and we eat packet food every single day. Every single day, every single person of the family. So yeah, they don't have much access, but when they go out, they have this excess.
Very short period of time, just when you are answering, just to the point for the answer. Okay, the next question.
Hello. Okay. Hello. Your question is very relevant, that the PDS has a very significant role for the reduction of the poverty in our country. And the nature of PDS, like the food distribution program, it is in forms of the kinds, and it is the world's largest program as in its nature. But the major limitation of the PDS is that there is some exclusion and inclusion error. Despite that, PDS only offering the traditional food grain like rice and wheat. There is no scope for the diversification. But there is a scope if the PDS benefits consist with some sorts of pulses and other product, then that can be helpful to overcome some nutritional deficiencies of the household. But my argument is that the PDS benefits are not only sufficient to overcome the nutrition insecurity. Along with PDS benefits, other policies that we have suggested here, these are very important to overcome the nutrition insecurity of the vulnerable people. Thank you for your nice questions.
Thank you for your question. So for adolescent, we adjusted BMI for age, not just BMI. So, and we use sex and age specific WHO guideline to categorize based on the standard deviation of Z score, BMI for age, Z score. You can add? Okay, thank you.
Thank you everyone for very important and nice questions. The first question was that we have told that the girls have more adherence to the school who have in the treatment group, was it significant, statistically significant or not? Unfortunately, it was not found statistically significant when we do the DID, but the comparison, comparatively, the group is more adherence to the school than the control group. And another question was about the anthropometric data. I have mentioned in my presentation that in this presentation I have picked only the data related to the empowerment and the homestead food gardening. So anthropometric data, we have also seen there is a change, but not significantly. There was no change about the control and the treatment group, because only 3 years it is very difficult to find the anthropometric statistically difference between the two groups. In the anthropometric data, we have taken height, weight, and BMI, and we also did the hemoglobin for the our participants. And another question was no impact on younger girls who were less than 15 years, no impact on decisions about the first pregnancy. Actually, we do not explore more about what are the causes, but from this implementation research project, actually we found many more questions that on which we have to work, like this, that why less than 15 years they are not have any decisions on their pregnancy after getting 2 years interventions. Like we have got the 5 that we need to work not only with the adolescent girls, also with the adolescent boys. If we actually want to delay the early childhood marriage, then the engagement of the male participants from the family, engagement of fathers. In our projects, we have found that engagement of father is very difficult. And another question was, actually, we consider only height and age for the BMI. Unfortunately, what you have asked about the pubertal, that was not considered in our study. I hope I have answered all the questions.
Thank you very much, but so sorry to tell you we have to now stop this the Q&A session because we are running out of time. But you are welcome to ask all these questions from this panelist.
Yes, I am very open to share our full research findings. Yes. Please contact with me. I will happy to share our full research findings.
You can always talk to them soon after the session. So let's move to the next part of the session because we have so many other presentations. Otherwise, you will miss your lunch. Next part of the session is something like rapid fire presentations. We have 2 physical presenters and the others are online presenters. So the first presentation coming from, it's only 2 minutes presentations. And the first presentation is an in-person presentation. Dergahayu, I think I pronounced correctly, is the research coordinator and the public health promotion and development from the development organization. Over to you, Dergahayu. Is he? Yeah?
Good morning, dignitaries. Myself, Dirgayu Kesi, and I'll be presenting my research entitled Double Burden of Malnutrition and the factors and determining factors of it. So, first the background. The coexistence of undernutrition and overnutrition in a population is generally termed as double burden of malnutrition. And despite the clear evidence that double burden of malnutrition has the long-term health impact, it has been overlooked by the research community in Nepal, which our research team has deemed the missing dot in the field of nutrition. So this study aimed to assess the prevalence and associated factors of double burden of malnutrition in Nepal among the adolescents that are living in the urban area of Nepal, which is the Kathmandu Valley, that is also the capital city of Nepal. Now the methods we conducted a cross-sectional study. Multi-stage random sampling was done to select the schools, and then probability proportional sample size calculation for the enrollment of the required number of population. Face-to-face interview followed by the anthropometric measurements were done to obtain the required data. Bivariate analysis and multivariate analysis were done to assess the significant association between the variables. Also, the ethical approval was obtained from the Nepal Health Research Council, and the written consent from the participant and the assent form from the guardians were secured prior enrolling them in our study. Now the results. Our study showed that 3% of the adolescents had the double burden of malnutrition, and the determining factors included, and to conclude, the findings underline the complexity of adolescent nutrition and various socio-demographic and behavioral factors at play. Thank you.
Our next presenter is Risha from the ICMR Institute for Epidemiology.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, one and all present here. So this study was done when I was at Indian Institute of Technology, Madras. Currently, I'm working at ICMR. So what is the gist of the study is, we had compared the nutrition outcomes for women as well as children using the unit level data of NFHS, which is a DHS equivalent for India. So we took the district level data, which is the fundamental administrative level for India. We have taken this state of Tamil Nadu specifically because this is a state which is ranking second in overall health index, and its outcome of health, in terms of health outcomes, it's doing great. And also in public health interventions, or from that aspect, it's one of the leading model for India. So few interesting outcomes I'm going to share with you. One is that we had taken these districts, as you can see, they are numbered from 1 to 32. They have been arranged according to the Human Development Index. This is borrowed from the HDI index for Tamil Nadu districts. So if you take the top 10 districts, you can see the wasting of the children in those districts, like the number 3 and 4, is just above the average for the whole of the state. This is the case in top 10 districts, which are doing well in HDI index. So basically, assumptions are that the normal assumption for any researcher is the regions which are socioeconomically great or progressing well, those must be having a good indicator. They must be doing good in terms of all these nutrition indicators. But we see here that the poor performing states have shown a better improvement across the 2 rounds of NFHS. So this is the basic gist of it. And then I would like to just give away this key takeaways is, does socioeconomic progress always translate to improved health status or not? That's why we need to revisit our inequalities.
Thank you very much. Our third speaker joined virtually. She is Farhana Rinki. She is a research assistant from the School of Public Health, BRAC University and Institute of Food Science and Technology.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Farhana from BRAC JPG SPH and BCSR. Today, I will present our study on malnutrition among under 5 children, which remains one of the most pressing public health challenges, both in short and long term. But what makes this issue even more alarming is when multiple forms of malnutrition coexist. Our study explores the prevalence and factors associated with both the single and multiple concurrent forms of malnutrition among children aged 6 to 59 months in Bangladesh. We utilized data from 2018-19 National Food Security and Nutrition Surveillance, which is a nationally representative cross-sectional survey. We then performed descriptive analysis to determine the prevalence of both single and multiple concurrent forms of malnutrition and used multivariable logistic regression to identify the factors associated with these conditions. Our study findings showed that about 30% of the children were stunted, 10.4% were wasted, and 24.8% were underweight. Moreover, about 2.6% of the children were overweight. What's particularly alarming is that about 22.8% of the children were affected by multiple concurrent forms of malnutrition, highlighting the complexity of the issue. We also identified several key factors that significantly influence the child's nutritional status, which include child's age, low parental education, low use of vitamin A fortified cooking oil, and recent morbidity status as shown in figure 2. To conclude, the coexistence of various forms of malnutrition calls for comprehensive solutions. To tackle this challenge, we need holistic public health strategies, integrating preventive measures, targeted interventions, and community-level support systems. Only then we can make real progress in reducing child malnutrition, improving health outcomes, and ensuring a healthier future for the children across South Asia. Thank you all.
Thank you. That is within the timeline. Our last presenter is Rahima Yasin from the Aga Khan University.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Rahima, and today I'm presenting a snapshot of nutrition-driven antenatal care strategies, focusing on 8 key interventions. Now, this is essentially an umbrella of systematic reviews. A little introduction to the methodology. Interventions targeting maternal and neonatal health were identified by the Lancet Every Newborn series, which was published in 2014. The evidence in the series was updated, and the most current interventions relevant to the topic of interest were identified, and where applicable, the subgroup analysis of LMICs was conducted. And while I'll only be covering 8 interventions today, I encourage you to check out the full paper available online for more details on the methodology and additional interventions. It's important to first consider the global context. Around the world, nutrition-based interventions during antenatal care are recognized for their role in optimizing maternal and neonatal health. However, in South Asia, the challenges in access, funding, and research create significant barriers to implementing these strategies effectively. Now, on the slide, you can see 2 columns, overall and LMICs. The overall evidence includes studies from both high-income and income countries and LMICs, while the LMIC only column indicates evidence captured from studies conducted in LMICs. Asterisks here show that evidence is from 2 or less than 2 studies. The first intervention, multiple micronutrient supplementation, which included 2 or more micronutrient supplementation, had a significant effect on outcomes such as stillbirth, low birth weight, and small for gestation age babies both globally and LMICs. Iron and folic acid supplementation significantly reduced the risk of maternal anemia and low birth weight. Vitamin D supplementation did not have a significant effect on preterm birth and low birth weight in overall settings, but as you can see, it was seen as an effective strategy in LMICs. But you can see the asterisks here, and the LMIC data stems from a very limited number of studies, and more research efforts are required in LMICs to see the true effect of the intervention. The next intervention, balanced protein and nutrient supplementation, significantly reduced the risk of stillbirth and small for gestation age babies. Similarly for LNS.
Okay, I think we are 5 minutes behind our schedule also. If we are trying to, if I kind of looking at the closing remark, the first we look, there are so many wide aspects of presentation in this forum, especially addressing the lot of nutritional challenges among all these vulnerable population. I think in this session, adolescents are much focused in this thing. One of the things, it was very interesting to see this depression among adolescents and how it affects to the underweight as well as overweight. At the same time, we saw the school meal program. So it is widespread in South Asia, but the different context of school meals. So that's fantastic to know. How can we really improve our practices in the future? And the other thing is the people who are, the adolescent who are married, how it has changed during things. That's also because teenage pregnancies, how it has reduced. So that's another important aspect we look at. At the same time, the healthy diet in tribal population, how they have now gone to the unhealthy diet from healthy diet, and how that you are doing the fantastic job in that again implementing the things. At the other final one is, I think we look at the nutrition from the economics perspective. This is also very much important, how economics feel about it. I think all the overall presentations are very exciting, as well as it has really looking at the different country aspects, and it is very important for the South Asia. Everyone can learn each other, because these are the lessons learned sessions, and we can learn from everybody. I would like Minnie to do the closing remark, final.
Yeah, thank you. You are a great audience, and the time was a constraint for us to do a justice to the entire length and breadth of the program and the discussion that had been there. Very interesting thing is that several of our presentations were rooted in the actual program implementation and coming out. It is not just the theory, but actually dirtying your hand on the field to understand the nuances of what it works and what it doesn't work and why it is not working being that. So that's been excellent in terms of it. As we think the road ahead, I leave with a question that, which is probably resonate with what we have talked on the first day of it. How can we design and implement programs, specifically nutrition and public health programs, which goes beyond the service delivery, and to dismantle and to address some of the systemic barriers and build agencies and ensure that the vulnerable people populations are not just the beneficiary of the program, but they are at the center of identifying solutions. We cannot leave them the beneficiaries of our goodness, but they have solutions to offer to us, and we implemented solutions at the center of our development discourse being there. In the whole process of it, what we need to remember is that at the end of the road, we should not leave no one behind. I know that is the strongest message when we are working with a vulnerable population we should consider on it. Thank you very much for a good audience. You are very patient, and apologies for being a bit of a delay on the whole thing. Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you, Dr. Redaka.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, our session chairs, for keeping us on track, all of the presenters. Our next session starts at 1 p.m. sharp, so if you want to mosey down 5 minutes before so we can start on time, that would be great. Lunch is now, I think it's on the 4th floor, the same place that we've been having it. And in this room, we're having digital innovations, so if you're interested in that, please come at 1 o'clock. Thank you very much, everyone.